I'm live. I was told 5 minutes ago that we live stream Bible study, so I'll watch what I say. No. Um, I originally had a little presentation for you today, but unfortunately I managed to spill water on my laptop, so it's off getting fixed. And so I'll talk about myself, but unfortunately don't have any slideshow to go along with it. But at some point, I'm sure I'll coordinate with Pastor Joe and maybe can go through some photos at some point so you can get some pictures to what kind of my life up to this point. Uh, and as you get to kind of know me and I get to know you. Um, Pastor Joe said we were working through the catechism, but today's kind of, I guess, a meet and greet, if you will. With me, I'll just kind of tell you some stuff that I don't think Sue or Sydney put in the electronic newsletters, and hopefully, like I said, you guys get to know me a little bit more as I kind of transition to be the vicar here. I think most of you know I'm from Michigan, Traverse City, Michigan, which I say is northern Michigan, but the more I've lived outside of Michigan, the more I realize when I say northern Michigan, anyone who doesn't live in Michigan thinks that's the UP. I live pretty close to UP. I love how Michigan is kind of like a thumb, so I always tell people like, this is where I live. But I live kind of on the pinky side of Michigan, of the mitten, Traverse City. Grew up there pretty much most of my entire life. I have a twin sister. We actually were adopted from Russia when I was 16, 18 months old. So originally adopted. I tell people ask me where you're from. I just say Michigan. But if you really want to know, I guess I'm technically from Russia. At sophomore year in high school, I think it was, my mother did a lot to keep in touch with my birth parents and kind of the agency that they, well, not really the agency, but just my birth parents and trying to keep connections over there. So when I was a sophomore in high school, I actually traveled to Russia with my mother, went back to my hometown, met my birth parents, met my sister. So I actually have another sister who's almost exactly a year older than me, who lives in Russia, who's back in Russia. The story goes that they're from a really small, poor town, about 45 minutes east of Moscow, or a 45-minute plane ride east of Moscow, in a small town called Nabrizhny Chilny. Really, really poor. Reason why they put my sister and I up for adoption was they just couldn't afford two more kids. So put my sister and myself in an orphanage, and then I guess the stars aligned, and my parents ended up adopting me and my sister. So I have a twin sister. She's obviously same age. She's back home, living in Michigan, with my dad. She originally went to school to be a counselor, and now she's back getting she's getting her master's degree in, I believe it's education, elementary education. I want to say. She's done so much over the past few years. Really smart girl. But at one point, she was right when COVID hit. She was looking for a new job. She had done a little bit of counseling through the state. Decided the job she had really wasn't for her, so she was looking for a new job. During COVID, we live right next to a hospital. So obviously, when COVID hit, they needed lots of help, and she applied to be a pharmacy technician. Didn't have any kind of training beforehand, but they were so in desperate need of help. They said, "We'll train you if you come work." So she did that for a little bit. I think she enjoyed that for the most part. But then she quit that job and she started substitute teaching at an elementary school, and she's been doing that since. And then since then, she started up her master's degree at Liberty University. So I have a twin sister, Anna. Like I said, hopefully at some point you'll be able to. I'll be able to show you guys a photo. Although she's quite active on social media, so if you look up Anna Bjoraker on Facebook or any kind of social media, I'm sure she'll pop up and you can see a bunch of photos. She's really passionate about animals. She has her own business, and that's the other thing. She has her own business where she dog sits. So at one point, I went home this summer, or no, actually, I went home for spring break, and she was watching. So we have two dogs, as it is, already in the house. I came home uh, first night and she was watching three other dogs. So at one point, I'm sitting down trying to watch a baseball game, and there's six dogs in our living room. So that was like, okay, that's is six is too many. So, um, but she's really passionate about animals. Hopefully, at some point, I don't know if she'll come down for the installation or not. Hoping she does, but she's kind of busy with what she does, so her schedule is kind of tight. But hopefully, at some point, she comes down and you're able to meet her. Um, yeah. So a little bit going back to me, like I said from Michigan originally. Have a twin sister. Um, I guess the big question I was gonna kind of go into is how did I want to become a pastor? Like, how did that happen? And I was early on was really involved in my church from an early age. Went through confirmation, um, studied music a lot. So in my younger years, I studied piano for about 10 years, 10, 11 years, and that naturally uh, kind of evolved into getting involved in music in the church. So even before confirmation, I was involved in a handbell choir, in the choir. Um, and then they said, oh, you can play organ. So then I started playing organ a little bit. And that got me involved in kind of the life of the church. Went through confirmation. And then it's funny because a lot of the stories I hear, it's always like the pastor always says to the young man, "Oh, I think you could be a pastor one day," and so that kind of planted the seed. Um, planted the seed. Like I said, I stayed really involved even after confirmation in the church with music. Um, Went to a bunch of board meetings, stuff like that, just to kind of get an idea of what a church was like. Trying to get myself involved as much as I possibly could. Obviously, being in like ninth grade, you can only do so much. But that kind of put me on the path of maybe wanting to get into ministry a little bit. And then in high school, I don't know how many of you are familiar, but we have a sister. So we have two seminaries in our synod. We have Concordia Seminary in St. Louis, which I'm attending, and then we also have Concordia Seminary, Theological Seminary in Fort Wayne. And that's I say sister seminary, but I'm sure whatever one you want to call the seminary, the other one's the sister seminary. So my high school years, they do a program every year called Christ Academy, where for 2 weeks, high school aged young men can go down to the seminary, and basically for 2 weeks you sit in on a class, which they have. So they have 5 different professors each week teach 1 week course, whether it be on Old Testament, New Testament, the Gospel of Luke, Gospel of John, something, whatever their expertise is. So I did that 4 years in a row. So every summer I went down to the seminary. It's really nice. You kind of get a glimpse of what seminary life is like. Obviously, you can't do everything, but I think that planted kind of the seed even more. And then as I was looking to go to college, I was looking at different colleges, and then I kind of settled on Concordia University Chicago is where I ended up going. I looked at Concordia Ann Arbor also, and then for the longest time I thought I was going to go to Concordia Wisconsin or Concordia Mequon, however you want to call it. But anyway, graduated high school, decided I want to go to Concordia Chicago. Knew a couple guys actually from Christ Academy, my Christ Academy years, that graduated high school and were down there. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect fit. I can go down there. I'll be outside the state of Michigan. Been to Chicago a couple times, but I really wanted to be around kind of that big city environment. Traverse City is kind of small. There's about 50,000 people in the county. So like downtown is kind of, I was looking at pictures and I was telling Sydney and Sue, it's kind of looks like a lot, downtown Liberty looks kind of a lot like downtown Traverse City, kind of older buildings. It's kind of, a couple blocks and there's lots to do, a lot of shops. Kind of turned into a tourist town, probably the last 20 years. Traverse City has. Anyway, wanted to get out of Michigan, kind of get away from my parents a little bit more, kind of gain independence. Right from the get-go, I enrolled at Concordia in the pre-seminary program, which is kind of sets you right up to go into seminary if you want. So I was getting those kind of the theological background, taking theological courses, um, got my languages out of the way. Sophomore year they start you with Greek, and then and then you take Greek second, third, fourth year, and then junior year started Hebrew. Um, Concordia has some really awesome language professors. In fact, the Hebrew prof at Concordia Chicago, he's an amazing guy, Dr. Steinman. I think he has his undergrad degree in chemical engineering. He has a master's from the University of Michigan in something completely different, and then decided he was going to go get his doctorates in Hebrew. So he's quite the guy, and enjoyed my time at Concordia Chicago. Like I said, I wish I had some photos, but hopefully I'll be able to share those sometime soon. Was really involved, like I said, in campus life at Concordia Chicago with ministry. Our Concordia systems, at least I know for Ann Arbor and especially Chicago, and I'm guessing Mequon too, they do a lot. They really support their church workers. There are people going into church real well. There's a lot of programs. I got involved with a lot of ministries, which helped to kind of, knowing like, okay, I definitely want to go to seminary. I was deeply involved in Concordia Youth Ministry, which is a program there at Concordia Chicago. Did that all 4 years. Enjoyed it thoroughly. We'd go to different churches, hold lock-ins, go to do other kind of community service events in around the Chicago area with youth. So I've done a lot of youth ministry. It's a joy. I love working with teaching younger kids and even high schoolers, middle schoolers. Really enjoyed that, and looking forward to. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to here too. I know my last two fieldwork churches, there's been hardly any youth, and I'll get into that. But I'm looking forward to working kind of with the youth here, and really getting into the opportunities that present themselves here. So like I said, 4 years at Concordia Chicago, really enjoyed it. Deeply involved in Concordia Youth Ministry. I also did some nursing home ministry. At one point was leading that. That was a lot of fun. Did some Concordia, did some homeless ministry too, where we go downtown Chicago. For those who don't know, Concordia Chicago is an Oak Park River Forest kind of area, but it's the last stop on the Green Line. So you literally could go walk a mile from campus down to the Green Line, jump on the L, and be downtown Chicago in 20 minutes. So that was another real fun part about my experience, being so close to the city. I did that. We'd go down into the city and do some ministry with the homeless. Did a lot of work with food pantries and stuff like that, but also did some on the street, just going around and trying to make connections. Say, hey, we're from Concordia, University of Chicago. We're involved in these ministry groups. There's some resources for you if you ever feel like you need help, whether it's food, clothing, this and that, and kind of just going around and doing that. So have experience in homeless ministry. Did 1 year of prison ministry. That was really interesting too. I say probably out of all the ministry groups I did at Concordia, prison ministry is probably the most unique. Because you really got to build relationships, I think, in prison ministry. It's definitely a time commitment. It's not something where you just go in and be like, oh yeah, here you go, meet with somebody for 30 minutes and then, never talk to them again. You got to really build that kind of that relationship with them. That was kind of interesting, a good experience. There's a lot of rejection in ministry too. So I think prison ministry is a good way to kind of jump outside kind of what is comfortable. Talking to people that maybe you wouldn't necessarily go around bother talking to. So that was fun. Was involved in music a bunch on campus too. Originally I'd gone, so when you get in the pre-sem program, you still have to pick a degree. So you need a major, but you automatically, if you're in the pre-sem program, you're set up for a theological languages minor. Now you can switch that to a major and do something minor in something else, but I had to pick a major. Originally, it was like, I'll go in, I have some music experience, I'll go in as a music major. Did that for 2 years, but it's quite the program. I think it's like something like 55 credit hours just for the major, which is quite a bit. I ended up switching my major to a Christian ministry major, and that was like 35 credit hours to graduate. So that gives you kind of an idea. So I would have had to stay an extra semester. So I decided to drop that down to a minor. So I double minored in music and theological languages, and then took up Christian ministries major, which is theology and then some practical courses. So I took some psychology courses, some kind of introductory courses to counseling, grief, loss and mourning counseling, just kind of basic counseling, stuff like that too. So I think out of all my years there, I enjoyed those classes probably the most, just because I felt like it gave me the most practical experience and practical knowledge. Not that the theology wasn't practical by any means. That was good. Really helped me kind of going to seminary. But as far as being able to be like, oh, what can I use this in a practical way? It doesn't just have to be, in the classroom or during Bible study. So that was real good. Like I said, really enjoyed my time at Concordia Chicago. And then, so like I said, right from undergrad, I knew I was going to go into the seminary right from college. And then the big question was, where do I go? Because my pastor that really influenced me went to Fort Wayne, and obviously I had gone to Fort Wayne for Christ Academy for a number of years, so I was really familiar with kind of the Fort Wayne area, the Fort Wayne Seminary, and for a while I was telling people, yeah, I'm going to go to Fort Wayne. Kind of funny keynote, all the pastors at my home church, up until the last pastor, all came from Fort Wayne. So it was like, we had a guy, a man about 5 years older than me, go to seminary. He went to Fort Wayne. So I was kind of not being groomed, but I kind of always thought like, yeah, I'll follow in Colin's footsteps and I'll go to Fort Wayne. And so I kind of, for the longest time, was like, yeah, I'll go there. Junior year of college, I was like, you know what? I'll do my due diligence, and I'll go down and I'll visit the Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. I'm like, I'm probably not going to go there, but what the heck? I'll go down. I'll see the arch. I'll turn it into a fun weekend. And I went down. Absolutely fell in love with the campus there. If you've not been to St. Louis at all, or the Concordia campus, it's absolutely beautiful. Not that the Fort Wayne campus isn't beautiful, but if you've ever been to the Fort Wayne one, they have lots of property. I don't know, I forget how many acres, but it's a fair amount. But it's all kind of enclosed by trees, and it's right off the highway. Beautiful campus, like I said, but I came down to Concordia Seminary in St. Louis, and their campus is right kind of in the heart of Clayton, not blocked off at all. Clayton, right kind of in St. Louis's beautiful area. Richmond Heights is really nice. WashU is right down a couple blocks down from the seminary, which is a great walk. Beautiful campus there too. So I came down to Concordia Seminary and just, like I said, fell in love. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go to Concordia Seminary, and kind of made my mind up right there and then. And it was kind of funny. Like I said, I came back, and after senior year, came back. People started asking me like, oh, so where are you going? Are you going to Fort Wayne? I was like, no, I think I'm going to Concordia Seminary. And just to give you kind of an idea of, like I said, all the pastors there kind of went to Fort Wayne, but there's a retired admissions counselor from the Fort Wayne Seminary at my home church. And at one point, I ran into him after a service, and he goes, are you the young man that's going to go to seminary? And I was like, I am. And he introduces himself, and he's like, yeah, so where are you headed next year? And I was like, Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. And he goes, well, good luck to you. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny. For those who don't know, for some reason, there's kind of that Fort Wayne St. Louis vibe. I think honestly it has to do with obviously the walkout that happened back in, was it in the 60s? Um, or is it 70s? Was it 60 and 70? Okay. But I would say I would 100% put my reputation and the reputation of my ministry back on that Concordia Seminary's professors are very orthodox, and they're great, and I think they have some of the best theological scholars, and I've enjoyed my time there. But it's just kind of funny. In the past too, I've run into some pastors, and I meet them, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in seminary, and more than once I've had that pastor go, so what seminary? So are you going to the true seminary, the right seminary? And I'm like, well, depends on which one you mean. So, but no, yeah, it's always kind of funny. And then every year too, they have intramurals at Concordia Seminary. So basketball is a big thing. This year we had, I think, 30 guys want to play basketball. So we kind of had an A team and a B team, and they go and they play we played some Division III colleges that are kind of in the area. We played the Catholic Seminary in St. Louis there, and then we also twice a year they scrimmage Fort Wayne. So that's always a big deal, is to go play the basketball tournament between Fort Wayne and Concordia Seminary. I think it was something like 30 years in a row Concordia Seminary beat Fort Wayne, and then my first year they went down to Fort Wayne and Fort Wayne beat them. So that was like the first time in 30 years that Fort Wayne beat Concordia Seminary in basketball. So that was kind of a big deal for them. But yeah, so anyway, like I said, made my way down to St. Louis. Like I said, I thought I was going to go to Fort Wayne. Ended up going to Concordia, St. Louis, which is funny too. Even in undergrad, for a long time, I told people, I'm going to go to Concordia Mac 1. Colin, who is now pastor in South Dakota, he went there. I kind of figured, I'll follow in his footsteps for the longest time. And then I was like, nope, I'm going to go to Concordia, Chicago. And so if there's one thing that I've learned, it's be careful what you tell people for an extended period of time, especially when the Lord has a hand in it. Even a newer story on that. Right before call day, I was, people were asking me, where do you think you're going to go? And I was like, I have no idea. I don't know. And for those who don't know, kind of the call process for the vicars, we have to go through a couple of interviews with the placement director for the vicarage and deaconess internships. And you're able to give your preferences on where you want to go. So one of the questions is where's your top 3 preferences as far as areas in the country? So they give you Midwest, Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, the West, Southwest, and all of that. And originally I put my number 1 option was the Southwest. I absolutely love Arizona. Been there a couple times. This last January, I was down there with my parents, and we were down there for a week and a half over winter break, and I enjoy it. And so I was really thinking, man, the best case scenario, if I could draw the perfect vicarage, it's going to be in somewhere in downtown Phoenix. And then I think my other options were the northeast. I put the northeast and the southeast, because I figured, well, Florida for a year isn't going to be bad, and I've never been kind of to the northeast, so who knows? And so anyway, right before call day, people are like, so where do you think you're going to go? And I'm like, I don't know, but maybe one of these 3 areas, who knows? And I told 2 or 3 people, I'm like, wherever I go, I kind of want to go somewhere new. And I'm like, I've been in Missouri a couple of years. I've already been in Illinois for a number of years. Anywhere other than Missouri, I'll be happy. And call day comes around, and for some reason, you get nervous on call day, even though you really don't have a hand in it, and there's really nothing to mess up other than the placement directors told us, we're all gathering in the chapel below, or in practice chapel below chapel, and we're about to come up for a call day, and he's like, when I call your name, don't come walking up right away. Wait until I say all the information, where you're going, what district, and then come shake everyone's hand. So, for some reason I'm nervous. I'm like, okay, don't be that guy that walks up right when he says my name. So he's like, no, no. So anyway, I'm in line. I think I was like the third person to get their name called for call day. So I'm like right away. So I'm like, okay, here we are. And, he calls my name. He says, Alex Bjoraker. And then I'm just thinking, don't walk too quickly. And then he goes through all the information. And I just hear him stop talking. I'm like, okay, now I can go shake his hand, President Harris's hand, all that. And then I get my call documents in my envelope and I go, wait, where did I end up? And because it literally went in one ear and out the other. And for some reason, I was just so like, okay, don't trip, shake everyone's hand, don't look like a fool. And so I'm walking back to my seat and I look and I see Missouri and Liberty, Missouri. I'm like thinking, where on earth is Liberty, Missouri? And my dad and my sister had come down for call day, and a good friend of mine that I made at one of my fieldwork churches too had come down for call day, and they were sitting literally in the pew right behind me. And so I'm walking and I'm like, okay, where's Liberty, Missouri? And I go and going to sit down back in the pew, and my dad's like, first thing my dad says is, looks like you're going to be a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And I was like, I must be going to Kansas City, which for for my first 2 years in St. Louis, people were asking me like, oh, have you been to Kansas City? I was like, no, but I need to go because I hear it's a really interesting area, and honestly, it was and so I know I said it's funny because like I said, I told people, I'd anywhere but Missouri, and I'll be happy for my vicarage, but I couldn't be happier. Super excited to be here, moved down here. Like I said, I've heard nothing but good things about Liberty. Super excited to kind of get to know the Kansas City area. I'm a big sports fan, love football, so I'm hoping maybe I can catch a Chiefs game sometime this year. And a huge baseball fan too, and obviously we have the Royals down here, so I'm a big Tigers fan. So I'm hoping to catch a game maybe when they come to town. And so with that, and obviously everything else the city has to offer, and just the history of it all, I'm super excited to be here down in Missouri. Lesson learned, like I said, when the Lord has His hand in something, be careful what you say, because He's going to give you most likely the complete opposite thing of what you tell people, which is funny because people told me that before, and I'm like, yeah, I'll be able to weasel my way through this, right? Be like, well, I could go anywhere, but so. But I'm glad to be here. Like I said, super excited. Kind of a little bit about myself. Like I said, I have a sister. My dad, he's getting pretty close to retirement now. He's worked up in Traverse City the last 20 plus years in IT. So that's kind of what he's done. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, so she didn't really work while she was raising my sister and I. So that was really nice to kind of have her at home. Like I said, my dad's really big into IT. He's the head of IT at the company he works at right now. I joke too. People always assume like, oh, you're a younger guy. You know how to do this. And a couple of times I've had to go to my dad and be like, help me, I don't know what to do. How do I do this? And so he's really big into technology and stuff like that. I always joke because I find it funny. He went to Michigan State, graduated in '81 from Michigan State College of Lyman Briggs, with a degree in computer computer technology, whatever it is, computer science. And nothing he learned in his years at Michigan State apply now. So, but he's great at what he does. Like I said, he's still working, works from home. I'm hoping. It sounds like he'll be around for call day. So, like I said, I'm hoping that he's around and comes down for the call day service. I know he's going to help me move in. So, like I said, my hope is he's here. Kind of interesting to think about me. My mother grew up Lutheran. Her side's all German. My dad, on the other hand, Norwegian. So my name, yes, I'm. People ask, they're like, "Oh, what's your last name?" I'm like, it's Norwegian. They're like, "Oh, you're Norwegian." I'm like, "I guess I am. Technically Russian, but we'll just roll with Norwegian." Um, uh, but yeah, so but he's not a big guy. I mean, not really too faith based. My mother definitely was the reason, kind of growing up in the church. I know there's times where Sunday mornings where she dragged my sister and I kicking and screaming to church. Uh, so thanks be to God that she did that. Um, she recently passed away this last April, and I might get a little emotional here. But yeah, she'd been battling cancer. And been battling cancer for about 5 years. Um, and then suffered a series of strokes um, at the end of March. And sorry, like I said, very emotional uh, event, but no less an important one in my life. Um, but yeah, suffered a series of strokes, recovered real well from the first one. Uh, I got the call. I was, um, it was a couple days before spring break, so I decided, I'll come home and help around the house. Uh, just help out any way I can. Uh, on my way back, got a call. Said she had another one while in the hospital. Uh, thank God she was in the ICU, so they caught that. Um, managed to recover real well from that. And then, like I said, sorry, kind of an emotional guy sometimes. Not all the times, but occasionally I can wear my emotion on my sleeve. So I apologize for that. But like I said, I'm happy to share this with you, and I think it shows. And like I said, recovered real well from the second one. Looked like things were, not great, but looking up. And a couple days later, while I was at home, got a third stroke and wasn't able to recover from that one. And so went into hospice care about a week later, and spent about 9 days in the hospice house. Um, and thanks, Sydney. Yeah. So passed away 2 weeks before my vicar call day. Like I said, sometimes I can wear my emotion on my sleeve, um, but yeah. So passed away 2 weeks before call day. I know she was really excited to go down there for that. I was looking to put off some cancer treatments so she could go down and experience that. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But yeah, so it's been like I said, it was quite the end of the experience for the end of second semester or second year, second year of my time at seminary. Yeah, just so it's been a heck of a April, kind of May, and so like I said, it's been kind of a learning experience for myself, my sister, uh, my dad especially. my parents were married almost 36 years. I think her funeral was the day before my parents' 36th wedding anniversary. So, on other note, sorry to dim the mood in the room, but it's just something that's I wanted to share that with you in person and those online, despite it being an emotional experience. Just because I think it's really shaped me. Kind of shaped one of those things where kind of momentous, definitely shapes you, kind of definitely shapes how you see things, and obviously, I think it'll have an impact on my ministry, and yeah, it just helps to put kind of into perspective. Some things aren't really as bad as they are. Like for example, spilling water on my computer and having to get it fixed. Really not that big of a deal when you think of with what I've had to go through the last couple of months. So, like I said, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Like I said, it's still kind of like I said, it's been a couple months, but I know for me, still kind of an emotional experience. Just talking about it, I think mostly, and kind of retelling the story. I know it's still kind of a shock for my dad, obviously. Like I said, because it just in the manner that it happened, it was kind of like I said, um, one week she has a stroke, and then 2 weeks later 3 weeks later we're having a funeral for her. So kind of just one of those things like just creeped up. Like I said, it's been big kind of struggle for my dad a little bit, but he's doing good. And like I said, so if you see him, hopefully you see him uh, the 31st, and maybe before that too. I'm hoping he comes down to spend some time with me, help me move in, and my hope is, like I said, he was planning to retire in July this year and do some stuff with my mother. I think he's still planning on retiring. So I said, well, if you do retire, you want to come down to Kansas City for a little bit. I got an extra room, so maybe he'll be around. Hopefully he'll be around. Like I said, he's never been a guy that goes to church really, but who knows? Maybe the Lord will use this time to draw him into a faith-based community. We'll see. But my hope is at least he'll be around for call day, so hopefully you'll get to meet him. He's a great guy. Can talk with anybody. Loves sports. Like I said, hopefully you'll meet him. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. Kind of my story. I'm sure I've missed some stuff. Like I said, hopefully at some point too, I can show you guys some photos, and you can kind of see, like I said, of my time at Concordia and all that. Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to think if I missed anything, but like I said, super excited to be here. Was really happy that Pastor Joe came down for call day. That was awesome to meet him, and to hear he's also big into beer too. I was I oh, that's right. Oh yeah, I'll watch, but some I should say Lutheran lemonade, right? And but like I said, it was great to meet him call day. Like I said, he met my dad and my sister, and that was great. And I honestly was ready to move down here the day after call day. So I've been looking forward to this transition. I'm looking forward to this year of vicarage, learning under him, getting to know you guys real well, and just hopefully making an impact that lasts, hopefully beyond my vicarage. I think it's important for ministry, wherever you are, no matter whether you're in one place 1 year or at a place 20 years. I think the hope is always to for your ministry to have an impact with those in the community, and definitely outlive your tenure wherever you are. This yeah, they kind of, one thing I've kind of put in perspective too. I had a class in Introduction to Pastoral Ministry, and we were talking about small rural congregations, and some of us in my class got called to smaller rural congregations. We were talking about kind of how to establish leadership and, like I said, a ministry that has impact and far beyond kind of your tenure at one place. I always find it interesting. How long has Pastor Joe been here? 16 years, which is, I think, far beyond the typical tenure for a pastor. I think the typical tenure for a pastor in the LCMS area church is about, in a kind of more urban area, is about 5 to 6 years, maybe 4, 5, 6 years. He must be good, right? Something must be. No, yeah. So yeah, no, I always, my home pastor that confirmed me had lots of impact on me. He was there 18 years before he took a call down to work for the Synod in St. Louis. And kind of to contrast that, they talked about like how in rural kind of areas, the average tenure for a ministry is about 1 to 2 years. You know, usually they're there for a couple of years, and then they're out. And then the church is kind of really structured in the people that are there. But you know, even my 1 year here, I hope, like I said, I can make an impact. I look forward to serving the community here, learning from Pastor Joe and all that he's had experience with. And I'm thankful too that I'm not the guinea pig vicar. Trust me, I've told that to a few people too. I'm glad he's had a few vicars. I think, yeah, that's what he told me too. He said he vicared here and then he ended up staying. And so like I said, I look forward to learning from him. And like I said, really serving the community here, growing in my faith, growing in your faith, and you know, becoming a leader and a shepherd for the Lord and His flock in the church. So I don't take that for granted at all. I'm super glad to be here, super excited to be here. I'm glad I could come preach before my installment. That's the other thing too, is was it in between the summer of my first year and second year, I didn't preach at all over that summer. So there's like 3-month gap that I didn't preach at all. And during that 3 months, I was like, man, I'm itching to get back up into the pulpit. And so I look forward to being able to preach a bunch of times here too. And it's one of the joys of ministry that I've found, which is hilarious, because I think I told Sue and I told Sydney, if you would have met me freshman year of college and stood that guy up next to me right now, you'd be like, who is that kid? And so I used to be really introverted going into college on my undergrad, but you know, I think ministry has been awesome for that. I've really been able to open up. I think been able to connect, talk to groups of people that maybe I couldn't have, you know, going into my freshman year. And like I said, I'm looking forward to kind of building relationships with you guys here, and hopefully building in the ministry that St. Stephen has built here. And I don't take any of this for granted. It's not me building a ministry here. It's you guys really inviting me into your ministry here. And I look forward to receiving that invitation. Hopefully I can help build the ministry you have here at this church, and learn from it. So I've been rambling on for about 45 minutes here. We're getting close. I'll call it good, I think. Like I said, it's been a joy and honor. Like I said, sorry about the emotional thing. Like I said, I think the more you get to know me, like I said, I think for the most part I keep my emotions in check, but once in a while can wear my emotion on my sleeve. But I think that's a good thing, especially for a pastor. So, but like I said, I appreciate being here today, appreciate this hour. Hopefully You've been able to learn a little bit more about me. Like I said, I'm sure we'll get to know each other a little bit more throughout the year, and then hit the ground running. And like I said, building relationships, building up the ministry here, building up leaders for this church, for Christ Church, and yeah, I look forward to it. So thank you so much.